Hey, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and pick up and start taking a look here at questions 10 through 13. These are all talking about direct variation. So in direct variation, our general equation is going to be y equals that kx. K is kind of like your slope. It's called the constant. And we find the constant by dividing our y variable or our y value over the x value. So in our first problem here, we have y equals -6 when x equals 2. So we're going to find our k. That's our first step, is to find k. So k is going to be my y, which is -6, divided by 2. And this reduces to -3. Our second step is going to be to write equation. So my equation is going to be y equals my constant, which is -3x. And we're done. Follow the same thing over here on question 11, or you can try it, pause, and then check to see if you have the same answer. K equals my y value divided by x, and that reduces to 1/3. And you can always welcome to type that into the calculator. Second step is going to be to write the equation. So I have y equals my constant, which is 1/3, x. Hope you did it. Got it? Okay, now we take a look at the word problems. So here it tells us a person's pay varies directly with the amount of hours worked. If you worked 20 hours and received $180, so this right here is important, how much would your check be if you worked 15 hours? So now, not only are we going to have to find our constant, write an equation, but then use that equation to go back and find a missing value. So here, this is my x, this is my y. So the first thing I want to do is find k. So k is my y of 180 divided by my x, which is 20. And if you need to, go ahead and type that into the calculator, but this comes out to 9. So the second part is going to be to write my equation, y equals 9x. 9 is my constant. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is find our missing value. So it's telling us specifically for 15 hours. And it's like, okay, hours, is that x or y? We go back and look. I have that as hours, that's x. So I'm going to do y equals my constant, but instead of multiplying by x, I'm going to multiply by my x value of 15. So we see, okay, 9 times 15 will give us how much money we make. So 9 times 15 comes out to 135. We're looking at $135 for 15 hours. Notice how I put this in a sentence form because we have a verbal situation. Okay, and then 13, we'll take a look real quick. It says in an electrical circuit, the voltage across a resistor is directly proportional to the current running through the resistor. If a current of 16 amps produces 520 volts across a resistor, how many volts would a current of 1.5 amps produce across an identical resistor? So as we're reading this, there might be some language in there that you're not, what is going on? What? I don't understand. That's okay. We know that because of the phrase directly proportional, we're looking for a proportion. For a proportion, we need an x and a y value. So as we proceed, we have 16 amps produces 520 volts. So I'm targeting in on those numbers. I'll let this be my x. This is my y. Okay. So now that I was able to identify an x and a y, I can go ahead and find my constant, because that's our first step in direct variation, is finding our constant. My constant is always y divided by x. So 520 divided by 16, and that comes out to, or reduces to 65 over 2. And it's okay if it's a fraction. We're going to leave it as a fraction. So now that I have my constant, I have my equation. My equation is y equals that 65 over 2 x. So that's our second step. But for here, because we're now asked to find a specific value, we're going to take it a step further. It says how many volts would a current of 1.5 amps produce. So we look here, 1.5 amps, amps, volts. Amps is the x value. So this is my x value. So what I'm going to do is I have now y equals that 65 over 2. But instead of being multiplied by x, I'm going to multiply by that 1.5. And in here, you're welcome to use your calculator. That's what I'm going to do. So I have control divide gives me my fraction. So I have 65 over 2. And I'm going to multiply this by 1.5. And it comes out to 48.75. So I have 48.75. And this would be volts. Are produced. All right, I'll see you in the next video.